Check in, help me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Ocarina of Time Master Quest. My name is Dario, and you might be wondering why I'm talking normally, but the video in front of you is going fast, and it's because for the first time ever, I believe, I'm doing post-commentary, and the reason being is that I was actually stuck in this room longer than I'd like to admit. I don't know why, but I kept thinking that something was in that room because I might have been remembering the original game or a ROM hack or something, but I couldn't remember like like I just remember like there being something more in that room, and either way I ended up staying in there way too long, and I thought at worst I could, once I finally find the item, I can make like a montage of sorts, but honestly I'm not gonna lie, it got so bad to the point where I had to look up a guide because I didn't know what to do. And if the key wasn't in there, I didn't know where the key was, so I ended up looking it up, and I actually kind of did get like almost, no, I got pretty like upset. Not like super mad, but like I was just more like disappointed I actually had to look up like the guide because, the whole point of doing these kind of things is to, do it blind, and try to figure things out. But, um, I already spent like, I think maybe like 20-25 minutes on this, and, you know, I guess time would have been better spent like searching the rest of the dungeon, except, you'll see in a bit, the key that I needed was in another room, but it was invisible, and it appeared on the map. Well, you'll see anyone who played this game, or if you look it up, like it's like it was it appeared on the map, but I thought it looked like another chest. So either way, like you'll see in a bit the room where it actually is at. But yeah. So a lot of this part is sped up like probably about 4 times, 8 times, I think, and so I decided just to do post commentary because I really wasn't saying too much because I knew a lot of it was going to be cut out, and then after the fact, um, after I did get the key, I still wasn't saying much, so I just decided to do a post commentary of it and make something better. And I'm doing a horrible job doing post commentary because I feel like I've repeated myself already, but um, yeah. So for the majority of this dungeon, at least right up until the boss, I really didn't say too much. I was actually pretty quiet. I realized I wasn't saying that much, but it was just like I didn't care anymore. I was just upset, and I still wanted to record just to kind of just get the footage there because it was a really good time to film because nobody was home. But I did record and it's such a shame too because I really was ahead. Like I shot a lot of footage like this day and the next day, like the time of filming this, but I couldn't post anything because I needed to do post. With my computer, I couldn't do post commentary because I was just busy with school and busy with other things, and every time something would come around to where I could do commentary for it, I was just tired. So um, if you notice here, I did Ferrar's win, but I totally forgot about it. So um, now that we're back to normal speed, I'll just continue talking basically. This is gonna be weird. I'm not too familiar with doing post commentary. I've seen other people do it, but um, I'll do my best. I'm already doing a horrible job anyway. Anyways, is that all I can say? Uh, God, there it goes again. I should just have a counter. This, oh, Jesus. This is horrible. The win puzzles in this dungeon get carried over into Wind Waker, obviously, and It's funny because when I played Wind Waker, I don't know why, but well, then again, by the time I played Wind Waker, I never beat the original Ocarina of Time. I was just a kid then. Um, okay, you know what? I'll just stop. I'll just stop pointing it out because it's gonna bother me now. Now that I notice it, it's bothering me. But so I totally forgot the Shadow Temple had wind puzzles. Because it's just one of those things you don't think of. You know, when you think of like the Iron Boots, you think of like submerging in water, which they are used for the majority of this game, but it's also used for wind puzzles too. And here and in Ganon's castle. I mean, quick side note. This is I did not remember the Red Fairy being here. Like, so it actually surprised me and was very fortunate because I was out of magic, so I was really screwed. And um, yeah, I didn't know there was a Red Fairy in there, but I showed that off like earlier parts because you know it's one of those things not a lot of people know about, or at least it feels like not a lot of people know about. So, but yeah, the wind puzzles in this place and in the Shadow Temple in Gan's Castle were supposedly part of a canceled dungeon. It was like the Wind Dungeon or something, and at least that's what I've read and heard about. You know, that's one of the big things about Ocarina of Time that they've talked about, and you know, it's always cool like to read about alpha beta stuff. You know, from the game's like past in the game's development history, because it's just like it's like finding out more about like something you really love. Like it's like finding out there's like a scrapped chapter of one of your favorite books, or a lost level of one of your favorite games. It's just like finding out more about stuff you love. So, but that's where the wind things come from, I believe. And the thing was integrated. Like I mentioned Wind Waker, how it was in there. I think like that canceled dungeon was integrated in Wind Waker. I believe. I could be wrong. But yeah, that's what Nintendo always does. Like they'll have ideas for stuff, and if they can't do it, they just usually save it for the next game. So it's pretty interesting how it all works. I mean, timeline-wise, people might not like it, but to me, Nintendo, and I think it's the way it should always be. You know, they always put gameplay first, so that's above all. Like the timeline is cool and all, but the game should be fun most importantly. Like hell, for Triforce Heroes, the 3DS game, like they're like, yeah, it's the same Link from Link Between Worlds, I guess. Like it was just like they just like, sure, yeah, all right. Even though the art style looks completely different, like they're using Toon Link, and the Link they used for A Link Between Worlds looked more like his past self. I realize I'm not talking a lot about the dungeon right now. I guess it's just I guess it's just because I'm not really in the mood for it. Like that is why. Oh, and I sped this part up here, like because I never realized how long it actually took to move this block. But even speeding it up, it felt like it took a while. But what I was saying about the Shadow Temple and or not just the Shadow Temple, but any temple really, it's one of those things you'd have to play like. You have to talk about as you're playing it because you're really invested in the atmosphere and you get reminded of memories. To me, this was always the notable part of the Shadow Temple. Like this ship, like to me, it was always random. And I know there's a scarecrow like up there that you can use the hook shot and get that gold Skulltula, but I keep forgetting. I don't think I activated the scarecrow like. Because the way you got to do is you got to play it as a kid, and then go back to and then go to the future, and then play it like to him again, and then he can like Pierre will show up and you can use them. And I keep forgetting to do that. There's a few good instances where he'll, show up and you can use them, but there's really only like one notable spot that I have on the top of my head that I'd probably want to like show off at some point, but we'll get there when we get there. And this caught me by surprise. I don't I think I I think I kept my dialogue in because I actually end up saying like, oh wait, no, that was the water temple. See, I can't even remember the parts I did anymore. But either way, these things surprised the hell out of me. I was not expecting them, and I could fight. Oh man, excuse me. I could fight them, but I decided to dick around and just run around and avoid them because I wanted to do the thing where you'll see in a second. Because the ship's gonna drop off. It's not sailing on water. It's sailing like on fog, for some reason. And see, look at them. They're trying to get at me, but as they know, the captain must go down with the ship. So, and they drop, rip in peace, or I guess in their case, rip in pieces. But I remember, like, as a kid, I did that. Like, I ended up staying on the ship too long, and I forgot I was supposed to jump off. So, like, I fell in the hole, and it actually scared me. I don't know why. I just, like, I guess just the idea of having the floor drop out from underneath you and, like, kill you, I guess, like, frightened me a bit. But I don't remember if I said this in my previous videos, but the Shadow Temple itself is a very interesting idea. It's very atmospheric, very because to me, like, Bottom of the Well is more of very much like a precursor to like Shadow Temple, obviously. But to me, that place was more creepier than like the Shadow Temple was. Like, I'm not even sure what the Shadow Temple is. It's like, I mean, it's right above the graveyard, so you would think it's like, I guess the best way I could put it, like, Bottom of the Well was like a torture chamber, and Shadow Temple was like a place that you would like, perhaps like embalm the bodies or, hide criminals. It's if you go on like the wikis and stuff, you'll see different theories because like the forest temple is like supposed to be a forest castle, like remnant of that, and fire temple is like a place of worship for the Gorons. The water temple, I forgot what they said the water temple was. I don't think it was a reservoir, but something like that. And Shadow Temple, I mean, they all have different designs, but there's something to take from them. And I got stuck here, like, trying to get up, but it's it isn't set in stone, so to speak. Like, sure, the Forest Temple might look like a castle, but I don't think in the future there'll be like we'll see the Forest Temple before it became like the Forest Temple, like that type of thing. So so yeah, I guess the Shadow Temple to me is more like, I guess, just like I said, the place where just you hide shit. Because I mean, the sign earlier does say like, here's Hyrule's like hidden history of greed and hatred and stuff. So I think that's another thing I really do like about the temples, that like with the atmosphere and the way they have this vibe, like there's a whole story like that can take place here, like a whole like short story or whole comic or a whole something that you can do just about each of these temples, but you never do them. And I really love when games do that, because a lot of games now, they try to like, they always feel like they always try to explain things. They always try to like give an explanation for why something's there, the explanation behind things. But sometimes it's like leaving things alone and letting your mind come up with that stuff. That's more fun. That's like, I know I mentioned this before, but one of my other favorite games on the N64, Jet Force Gemini, does that. Like, they have worlds that many worlds you go to, many different worlds that some of them are told in the story like what they're used for, but then there are some planets where the technical reason why there isn't a story there, why it's pretty vacant, is because they either ran out of development time, or they didn't have time to fill in those gaps. And one of my favorite levels in that game was a place called Water Ruin, and I love that place so much. It has beautiful music. It's a very small place. It's a very small like world. It's like one or two islands, but like the music and the atmosphere and the layout of the world and what you see when you look out into the ocean, like it just leaves a lot to the imagination. Like, you know, there was a whole world here. There was probably a whole civilization here that had its own history, had its own people, had its own, you know, life going on, and you're looking at the aftermath of it after everything's gone. Like that, it's always interesting, and you know, there's never like anything to say that's true, but there's also never anything to say that's not true. So it's just all open, like about, you know, the possibilities, and to me that's the best part. Like Majora's Mask did that to some extent. It's much harder now because everyone has a theory on Majora's Mask. But I just realized I talked about like so many other things besides this place, but so I just figured this. I was trying to figure out what to do here because like that door was open, or that door was closed over there. The door I'm supposed to get through to get the boss key, and you know, I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I can't figure it out. So I think, yeah, I actually find out where the, like, little do I know that the eye switch is right there, but I just play the thing. I think I have to get up there to the switch, but it's like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get up there. So, like, I'm trying to figure it out, and I'll figure it out in a minute, but I'll spend this last, like, minute or so talking about, I don't think I ever talked about the music here. Now, the music for this place, for the Shadow Temple, in later versions, in the most common version now, like, you know, the virtual console version or the 3D version, the Fire Temple is going to have the same chanting from the Shadow Temple, which works. You know, you know, it's not like a bad choice, but to me, I've always preferred and I mentioned this in the Fire Temple, but I always preferred like the original chanting. I'll touch more on that, like, if you know, because I do plan on going back to the Fire Temple for something, but just staying on terms of the Shadow Temple, like, you know, I think it's the same music as the bottom of the well, actually. So I feel like it's kind of pointless to talk about because I think I talked about it when I did the bottom of the well, but lost my train of thought for a sec. Sorry. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. Like, I guess in between the Fire Temple and in between hearing in the Shadow Temple, I guess like the moaning and the wailing, like in the songs, like aren't not. I'm not saying aren't as impressive, but like they don't feel as unique anymore. It's like I've heard it so much, but going back to like a first time player's perspective, which I would like to do, at least try to do. It's very interesting. You know, it doesn't sound otherworldly. It sounds like it doesn't sound demonic either, but it does sound like, I guess instead of otherworldly, it's underworldly. I guess, like, you know, this place does look like the river Styx. You know, like Hades and you know, the underworld soul. You know, carrying, you know, ferrying souls and stuff like it. It does have that atmosphere and that tone, but it's also still not too scary for kids. So, anyways, I think we're reaching on the end of this video, so I'm gonna split this part up, and I will see you guys next time. So, take care. Bye.